The Bible is the most quoted book in human history. It is also a family album where some of the photos are crime scenes. We are looking at the 10 most disturbing families in the Old Testament, ranked from least to most horrifying. Number 10. Adam's family. The first family on earth has a 25% murder rate by chapter 4. Cain kills Abel in a field. The text does not give a weapon. It gives a motive. God preferred Abel's animal sacrifice to Cain's offering of plants. Cain's response is to remove the variable. After the murder, God asks where Abel is. Cain replies, "Am I my brother's keeper?" This is the first recorded lie to a deity. The punishment is exile. Cain immediately becomes worried that someone else, in this freshly populated world of approximately 5 people, will kill him. God agrees this is a reasonable concern and gives him a protective mark. The first murderer receives the first witness protection program. Midrash adds a wife for Adam who predates Eve. Her name is Lilith. She refuses to lie beneath him, leaves Eden voluntarily, and becomes a demon who kills infants in the night. The canonical text does not include her. The rabbis felt the canonical text was leaving something out. This is the foundational family of the human race. They appear in chapter 1. By chapter 5, the text moves on. Number 9. Noah's family. Noah survives the apocalypse. He saves humanity. His first act on dry land is to plant a vineyard, drink the wine, and end up naked and unconscious in his tent. His son Ham finds him and tells his 2 brothers. Shem and Japheth walk in backwards holding a cloak between them so they will not see their father's nakedness. When Noah wakes up, he understands what has happened, though the text does not explain how, and curses Ham's son Canaan to be a slave to the descendants of his uncles. An entire bloodline is cursed for what one son saw in a tent. Midrash is unsatisfied with this. The rabbis ask why the punishment is so severe for merely looking. Several traditions emerge. One holds that Ham castrated his father. Another holds that Ham raped him. The Talmud preserves both readings and does not pick one. The canonical text gives us only the cloak, the curse, and the silence. Noah lives 350 more years after the flood. The text does not record him speaking again. Number 8. Isaac's family. Isaac is old, blind, and dying. He calls his older son Esau and asks him to hunt game and prepare a final meal so he can give the blessing of the firstborn before he dies. His wife Rebekah overhears this and immediately conspires with the younger son Jacob to steal the blessing. She cooks goat meat to taste like venison. She wraps Jacob's smooth arms in goat hair so that when his blind father touches him, he will feel like Esau. Jacob walks into his father's tent, lies about who he is, lies again when his father questions the voice, and receives the blessing meant for his brother. Esau returns from hunting. The deception is discovered. Isaac trembles violently. The Hebrew word implies a full-body convulsion and tells Esau the blessing cannot be revoked. There is only one. It has been given. Esau weeps and asks if there is any blessing left at all. Isaac gives him a kind of anti-blessing, a life of the sword, serving his brother. Esau plans to kill Jacob. Jacob flees. The brothers do not see each other for 20 years. When they finally meet again, Jacob assumes Esau is coming to murder him and sends his entire family ahead as a human buffer. Esau hugs him. The mother who orchestrated the deception dies off stage. The text does not record her funeral. Number 7. Abraham's family. Abraham is the patriarch of 3 world religions. He is also responsible for 2 separate child disposal incidents. The first involves his concubine Hagar and their son Ishmael. After Abraham's wife Sarah finally has a son of her own, she demands Hagar and Ishmael be exiled. Abraham gives them a loaf of bread and a skin of water and sends them into the desert. The water runs out. Hagar places the boy under a bush so she will not have to watch him die and walks away to weep. An angel intervenes. They live. The second incident is more famous. God tells Abraham to take his other son Isaac to a mountain and offer him as a burnt sacrifice. Abraham gets up early the next morning. He saddles the donkey. He chops the firewood. He walks his son up the mountain for 3 days. He builds the altar. He ties the boy down. He raises the knife. An angel stops him at the last moment and provides a ram instead. The text records that Abraham and Isaac walked up the mountain together. After the sacrifice, the text records only Abraham walking down. Isaac is not mentioned again until his mother's funeral. He never speaks to his father again in the canonical text. 2 children, 2 near deaths. 1 father who passed both tests. Number 6, Aaron's family. Aaron is the first high priest of Israel and the brother of Moses. His 2 oldest sons, Nadab and Abihu, are also priests. On the day the new tabernacle is consecrated, they offer strange fire before the Lord. The text does not specify what makes it strange, and fire comes out from the presence of God and consumes them on the spot. Moses turns to Aaron and informs him that he is not allowed to mourn. The work of the priesthood continues. Aaron does not respond. The text uses the phrase, "and Aaron held his peace," which in Hebrew implies a silence that is not consent, but compression. Their cousins are summoned to drag the bodies out of the sanctuary by their tunics. The service resumes the same day. Later, Moses discovers that Aaron's 2 surviving sons have not eaten the sin offering as commanded. He becomes angry. Aaron points out gently that his 2 oldest children were just incinerated in this room, and that perhaps God would not have wanted him to eat a celebratory meal that afternoon. Moses accepts this. This is the family in charge of mediating between Israel and God. Their job security is exceptional. Their life expectancy is not. Number 5, Judah's family. Judah is one of the 12 sons of Jacob and a direct ancestor of King David and eventually Jesus. His personal life is a procedural disaster. He has 3 sons. The oldest, marries a woman named Tamar. The text says only that was wicked in the sight of the Lord, and the Lord killed him. No further explanation is offered. Custom required brother Onan to marry Tamar and produce an heir in his dead brother's name. Onan does not want to father a child that will not legally be his, so he practices a contraceptive method that has since been named after him. The Lord considers this evil and kills him as well. Judah now has 1 son left and is understandably reluctant to give him to Tamar. He sends her back to her father's house with a vague promise to send for her later. He does not. Tamar realizes she is being denied a future. She removes her widow's clothing, veils her face, and sits at the entrance to a town her father-in-law will be passing through. Judah sees her, assumes she is a prostitute, and propositions her without recognizing her. She asks for his signet, his cord, and his staff as collateral. He agrees. She becomes pregnant. 3 months later, Judah is informed that his daughter-in-law has prostituted herself and is with child. He orders her burned alive. As she is being brought out of her father's house, she sends Judah his own signet, cord, and staff, with a message identifying their owner as the father. Judah cancels the execution and acknowledges in the text's exact words that she is more righteous than he is. She gives birth to twins. One of them, Perez, becomes the direct ancestor of King David and, in the genealogy at the start of Matthew, of Jesus Christ. The messianic line passes through a roadside transaction. Number 4, Jacob's family. Jacob has 12 sons by 4 women, 2 wives who are sisters, and their 2 handmaidens. The household dynamics are exactly what this arrangement would predict. His daughter Dinah leaves the camp to visit local women and is raped by Shechem, the son of a regional prince. Shechem then decides he is in love with her and asks his father to negotiate a marriage. Jacob's sons agree to the marriage on one condition: every man in Shechem's city must be circumcised. The men of the city agree. 3 days later, while every adult male in the city is incapacitated by the procedure, 2 of Jacob's sons walk in and kill all of them. The remaining brothers loot the city, take the women and children as captives, and seize the livestock. Jacob's reaction is to point out that this may damage their reputation with the neighbors. His sons reply, "Should our sister be treated like a prostitute?" The text does not record Jacob answering. Later, Jacob's oldest son Reuben sleeps with his father's concubine Bilhah. The text gives this event 1 verse. It does not pause. It does not editorialize. There are still 11 more sons to manage. Then the brothers turn on Joseph, the favorite. They throw him into a pit, debate killing him, and ultimately sell him to a passing caravan of slave traders. They dip his coat in goat blood and bring it to their father, who concludes Joseph has been eaten by a wild animal and mourns him for the next 22 years. The brothers say nothing. They watch their father grieve a son they sold, and they say nothing for over 2 decades. When Joseph eventually saves them all from famine, having become second in command of Egypt, his first words to them are, "I am Joseph. Is my father still alive?" They are too terrified to answer. These 12 men become the 12 tribes of Israel. Number 3, the House of David. David is the greatest king in Israel's history. The Bible calls him a man after God's own heart. His household is the most documented atrocity in the Canyon. It begins with David himself. He sees a married woman named Bathsheba bathing on a rooftop, summons her, and impregnates her. To cover this up, he recalls her husband from the front lines, hoping the husband will sleep with her and assume the child is his. The husband refuses to sleep at home while his fellow soldiers are at war. David sends him back to the front with a sealed letter for the commanding officer. The letter contains instructions to position the husband where the fighting is heaviest and then withdraw the supporting troops. The husband is killed exactly as ordered. David marries the widow. Years later, David's oldest son Amnon develops an obsession with his half-sister Tamar. He fakes an illness, asks for her to bring him food in his bedroom, and rapes her. The text records that immediately afterward his love turned to a hatred greater than the love had been. He has her thrown out into the street. Tamar's full brother Absalom waits 2 years. He invites Amnon to a sheep-shearing festival, gets him drunk, and has his servants kill him at the table. Absalom flees, eventually returns, and launches a rebellion against his father. He captures Jerusalem. As a public demonstration that the rebellion is permanent and reconciliation is impossible, he pitches a tent on the palace roof, the same roof where his father once saw Bathsheba, and sleeps with 10 of his father's concubines in full view of the city. The rebellion ends when Absalom's hair gets caught in the branches of an oak tree as he flees on a mule, and David's general kills him while he hangs there. David's response, on hearing the news, is to weep openly and cry out for his dead son. He does not weep for the soldiers who died putting down the revolt. His general tells him to stop. The army that just saved his life is watching. Number 2, the Levite and his concubine. This entry is one passage. In Judges chapter 19. It is widely considered the most disturbing chapter in the Hebrew Bible. A Levite is traveling with his concubine. They stop for the night in the town of Gibeah. An old man takes them in. That evening, men of the town surround the house and demand the Levite be sent out so they can rape him. The old man offers his own virgin daughter and the Levite's concubine instead. The Levite resolves the standoff by pushing his concubine out the door and bolting it behind her. She is raped through the night. At dawn, she crawls back to the door and collapses on the threshold with her hands on the doorstep. When the Levite opens the door in the morning, he finds her there. He says, "Get up, let us be going." She does not answer. The text does not specify whether she is already dead. He puts her on his donkey, takes her home, cuts her body into 12 pieces, and sends one piece to each of the 12 tribes of Israel. The tribes go to war over this. Tens of thousands die. The tribe of Benjamin is reduced to 600 surviving men. To rebuild it, the other tribes authorize the abduction of 400 virgins from a captured city and 200 more from a religious festival, where the men are instructed to hide in the vineyards and grab dancing women as wives. The book of Judges ends shortly after this with the line, "In those days there was no king in Israel, everyone did what was right in his own eyes." The text offers no further commentary, there is no judgment in the prose, there is only the record. This story is not number 1 only because the family in question is one couple, and the family ends in chapter 19. The next entry has descendants. Number 1, Lot's family. Lot is the nephew of Abraham. He chooses to settle in the city of Sodom. The story of his family is the convergence point of every category on this list. Sexual horror, mob violence, sudden death, drunkenness, incest, and a generational curse that produces 2 enemy nations and, eventually, a strand in the genealogy of the Messiah. 2 angels arrive in Sodom disguised as travelers. Lot insists they stay at his house rather than the town square. That evening, the men of Sodom, the text specifies all of them, young and old, from every quarter, surround the house and demand the visitors be sent out to be raped. Lot's response is to step outside, close the door behind him, and offer the mob his 2 virgin daughters instead. The exact words in the text are, "I have 2 daughters which have not known man. Let me bring them out unto you, and do unto them as is good in your eyes." The mob refuses. They want the visitors. They begin breaking down the door. The angels pull Lot back inside and strike the men outside with blindness. The next morning, the angels evacuate Lot, his wife, and his 2 daughters. Lot's two prospective sons-in-law refuse to leave and are presumably destroyed with the city. The family is told, explicitly, not to look back. As fire and sulfur fall on Sodom and Gomorrah, Lot's wife looks back. She becomes a pillar of salt. Midrash gives her a name, Edith, or Idit. One tradition explains her glance as a mother's grief, looking back for the daughters who did not flee. Another holds that she had been secretly sympathetic to the people of Sodom all along, and the look back was the final evidence. The canonical text gives only the look and the salt. Lot and his two surviving daughters flee to a small town and then to a cave in the mountains. They believe they are the last people on earth. The older daughter says to the younger that there is no man left to give them children, and that they must preserve their father's line by any means available. They get him drunk on consecutive nights. The older daughter conceives the first night, the younger daughter conceives the second. The text records twice that Lot did not know when his daughters lay down with him or when they got up. The repetition is not an accident. The text is making a point about responsibility. Lot is not exonerated. He is the man who, days earlier, offered the same daughters to a mob. The older daughter names her son Moab, meaning from father. The younger names her son Ben-Ami, meaning son of my people. The names are not subtle. Neither is the text. From these two infants come the nations of Moab and Ammon, peoples who, for the next 1,000 pages of biblical narrative, war with Israel, ambush its prophets, sacrifice their own children to their gods, and serve as a recurring symbol of everything Israel is supposed to reject. And then, in the book of Ruth, a Moabite woman named Ruth marries an Israelite named Boaz. Their great-grandson is King David. David's descendant, in the genealogy that opens the New Testament, is Jesus of Nazareth. The cave in Zoar is in the bloodline of the Messiah. The Bible knows this. The Bible includes it on purpose. This is why Lot wins. The Levite story is more graphic. Jephthah's vow is more sympathetic. David's house produces more bodies. But Lot's family is the only entry on this list that is simultaneously a story of sexual horror, generational curse, divine destruction, urban annihilation, and direct ancestry of the central figure of the New Testament. Every category in one bloodline, every horror in one cave. If the version of the Bible you grew up with skipped these stories, this channel is the one that doesn't. Subscribe and let me know which one was the most shocking, and if you already knew it.